My name is Cody Hosterman, and I'll be presenting the FlashArray Workflow Package for vRealize Orchestrator and showing you how to automate the provisioning of new VMFS storage. Inside this workflow package, we have a variety of different workflows that do simple things. Create a volume, get a volume, delete a volume, create a new host group, get all the host groups, that kind of stuff. We also have a few larger workflows that include all these workflows together to create a large automated task. One such one is creating a new volume, provisioning it to a VMware cluster, and formatting as VMFS. You can see inside of this workflow we have a variety of these options that take in the data, manipulate it, and make some changes or REST calls. One of the workflows we have in here is just get all the hosts on my FlashArray, because we've taken the information from the cluster and we need to compare it to that information on the array to find out where do we provision this volume. We have another one of create FlashArray volume. So this is the volume we want to create to format with VMFS, and has inputs like the REST host and the volume name and size. We have, of course, our add volume to host group. We need to add that volume to a host group to actually provision it to the ESX servers. That host group we figure out by taking in the data from the VMware cluster and comparing it to our records. We also have a simple script workflow that takes in the cluster object that you select in your vCenter environment. We also have another script that takes in that information from your vCenter environment of that cluster and gets all the worldwide names for all the hosts in that cluster. We then use a for each object that are included inside of vRealize Orchestrator to loop through all those ESX hosts to get those worldwide names, and then compare it from the information that we got by pulling the host information from the FlashArray. So we make the proper connections to make sure we're provisioning the storage to the proper host and host group inside the FlashArray. Once we make those matches, we know what host group to add our new volume to. Once we add that volume to that new host group, we will then rescan your ESXi environment inside that cluster, find the new volume with the network address authority, and then format it as VMFS. So let's start this workflow. So first, we need to choose our vCenter cluster we want to actually provision to. So I'm going to navigate through my vCenter and find my cluster object. Inside this cluster object are a couple of hosts, as you can see, 1 and 2. Then we'll choose the FlashArray we actually want to provision the storage from. Choose it from my FA420. Now we want to give in a username and password to authenticate to that FlashArray, because the first workflow inside of this workflow is authenticating a session. So I'll give it my password and hit next. Now we have to enter in the volume information. So I'm going to give it a VMFS name. I'm going to use that same name as the volume name on the FlashArray too, and give it a size, 8 terabytes. And I'm going to leave the LUN ID blank, have it automatically choose one. So now the process will run through. The first 6 or 7 workflows complete very quickly, because they're all a bunch of SDK or REST API calls. As you can see, they've gone through it, looked at all the hosts, and found their worldwide names. We'll scroll through this in a bit. The longest part of this process is rescanning the hosts and then formatting as VMFS, where it sits right now. You can see the last operation it did on the very bottom, if you look at the log, is it connected that volume to my host group. The process is currently on the rescan and format VMFS. So if we scroll up through the log, we can kind of see the information it's got. You can see the REST API calls, returning all my hosts on my array with their worldwide names and their names. If we scroll down a little bit further, we can find the VMware objects we found in the cluster as well. You can see I have a couple different hosts, the worldwide names from those hosts, and then we correlated what we see on the FlashArray. So we make sure we're connecting that volume to the proper one. We see the host group that's matched, both those hosts from the same host group. We see the volume was created with that size. We see that volume was then added to that proper host group, Kodi Goku vCenter. Now we're at the process of formatting, and the data store has been added, and it is now complete, as you see in the little green target. If we jump back to our VMware environment and look at my vCenter and my data stores, we can see my volume has been created. Right? VRO VMFS volume, and it's indeed on my 420. So this has been a quick demonstration of provisioning a new VMFS using our workflow packages inside of vRealize Orchestrator. Thank you.